All right, guys. Sandy Stratman coming at you live right now. It is 4 o'clock, the 4 o'clock hour on Friday, August 6th. And welcome to the 7 Pillars of Killer B2B Business Development. Got my right-hand guy on my left-hand side here on the screen, Mr. Marvelous Ron Marvo. And we have been running and gunning, my man, for the last couple of weeks. But I'm excited to actually sit down at the end of a busy week. Was in and out of Dallas, hanging with my man David Boyle. Got a chance to go over and say hi to Eric Hall, Bob Masagli, Mike Saporito, a bunch of folks that I know. Some have been past and previous clients, and some I've worked with in the past. And Eric Hall was just an opportunity to go over and say hello to somebody that I've only met through Clubhouse. And so, to be completely honest with you, this trip over the course of the last couple of days is emblematic of what we're going to talk about here today. So, Ron, just give me a quick 2 thumbs up if the audio check sounds good.
I got you on Clubhouse, Sandy. I'm not.
I love it. Beautiful. All right. And I'm having trouble hearing your audio right now, but I can pick you up right through Clubhouse, correct?
Correct. And I'm having trouble hearing your audio on StreamYard, but I'm picking you up on Clubhouse.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, we might be having a little bit of broadcasting difficulty. I don't know if it's a bandwidth issue or what, but we're going to stay live on Clubhouse right now. And so let's kick it off. We're here to talk about the 7 pillars of killer B2B business development. And it's something that you and I have been keenly focused on over the course of the last 4 months. You and I have had a chance to literally travel the country and have some incredible conversations with some folks. But you have seen live and in person with a front row seat exactly what I'll be talking about here today with respect to how to drive an incredible pipeline of prospects and opportunities into your business. And I don't care if you're a single sole proprietor that's out there doing this on your own, or you're working for a commercial business or a dealership that sells commercial vehicles. If you're in the B2B world, what we're going to share with you today is really incredible. We've got some great special offers that we're going to provide for the group as well. And so let's kick it off. Let's talk a little bit right now about something that you and I call the high value differentiation. It's pillar number 1. We call it the HVD. And the high value differentiation is actually a way for you to separate yourself from the crowd, okay? And this is a big challenge for anybody that's in the business of selling or developing business, is how do I separate and stand out from the crowd? And so we talk about something called the high value differentiation. And that's a statement that basically articulates specifically what it is you do, what kind of results you deliver for your customers. And there's a good example of how we differentiate ourselves as Sandy Stratman Associates. And it's critical that you know this, is when we start a conversation off with somebody to say exactly what it is, what we do, I make it really simple. I say that the first thing is really, we work with individuals, businesses, and organizations developing strategies, tactics, and techniques that drive exceptional results. As a matter of fact, we've worked with dealerships across the country and brought them from a bottom of the pack player all the way to top 10 in the nation. We've taken a dealership to number 1 in the nation in its brand as well. We've worked with every brand across the country, and so we make it very clear with our high value differentiation piece exactly what it is we do. If you're looking to take your business from somebody that nobody really knows about to being the top in your field or the top in your market, that's how we differentiate specifically what we do. So you have to be able to articulate what differentiates you from the rest of the folks that are out there doing what you do. Ron, perfect example for you and I recently. I said to you when we first got started that a lot of times we're not pitching. Like, we never go out there and pitch our business, correct?
No, that's correct, Sandy. It's really about giving positive reinforcement feedback and having a conversation, talking about, exactly what the biggest hair on fire burning issues that some businesses might have, and coming to a collaborative solution.
Yeah, we just want to start a conversation. At the end of the day, we're not out there. Our first intention is not to go out there and do business for the sake of just doing business. We're out there to build relationships. It's a critical piece of the puzzle. But being able to articulate specifically what it is that you do and how you do it. Now, we don't get into specifics in terms of in a box approach for us, right? For us, it's very customized based on the circumstances, the scope of a client opportunity.
Precisely.
Being able to articulate specifically what you do and how you do it makes all the difference in the world. Anytime that you can employ a statistic that makes an impact with somebody that's asking what you do for a living or how you work with clients, it's always a great opportunity for you to show them how you can take them from here to there. It's always the here to there conversation. Folks are having a discussion with you or are curious about what you do because they're looking for an improvement in their own business, right?
Yeah, and Sandy, it's taking them from a less desirable before state to that more desirable after state, and being that diagnostic for them, on the onset.
No question. No question. The second pillar is when we talk about building out your brand, and one of the things we talk about is really knowing who you are. The authenticity aspect of building out a brand is critical. I see a lot of folks out there that talk about people that are in the marketplace. Social media has had a huge impact on brand perceptions in the marketplace. And so you and I talk ad nauseum about authenticity, about being original, about being real, just being who you are and being really comfortable and confident in terms of who you are. We talk about building brand and the authenticity piece. One of the simple tricks that we use with clients every single day, especially if we're talking about individual business development performers or salespeople, we talk about what are the 2 or 3 things that you want to be known for in the marketplace, you specifically as an individual, and then your company. And if you can get crystal clear and develop some clarity on those 2 or 3 things that you want to be known for in the marketplace, it becomes a lot easier for people to identify with you as a brand. The other thing that we do is we ask you to take a look at brands in the marketplace that you identify with strongly, things that resonate with you, and then take it a layer deeper and try and figure out what it is specifically that they do or how they do it, more specifically, that really resonates and connects with you at a visceral level, because that is ultimately what gets people to feel confidence, to feel trust, to feel comfortable in doing business with you or with your company. And so building brand is not about pounding your chest. Building brand is not about you going out there and telling everybody how great you are. Building brand a lot of times is focused on, what answers do you provide for the challenges or problems that prospective clients are facing, and does that resonate with them? I think a lot of people get caught up in the social media age with the posing and the pounding of the chest and, standing on the outside of a jet that they rented for 15 minutes or posing on the hood of a car in a parking lot that they don't own. I mean, we've seen that a lot. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about building brand. It's not just social media. It's who you are. It's how you conduct yourself live and in person. It's how you conduct yourself on social media platforms like Clubhouse, Facebook, etc. And if there's a genuine and authentic ring to who you are and how you operate, that is what creates that gravitational pull. And as I said to you before, we do not go around the country pitching. You see that. I said that to you when we first got started together. I said, Ron, we're not going to go out there pitching, so you're going to take the retail automotive cap off a little bit, and we're going to go out there, we're going to build relationships. And so the second piece of that puzzle is making sure that people know who you are and what you stand for. And this is something that develops over time. Nothing that we're sharing here today in the 7 pillars is designed to create that immediately, impact that happens immediately. We're looking for you to take a combination of having a sense of urgency to create some action and activity in the marketplace every single day, but have the patience to allow those actions and activities to catch up with the results that you're looking for over time. And that's what builds sustainable brand and sustainable brand equity in the marketplace. Make sense?
Agreed, Sandy. And I think it also comes down to, like you just said, authentic goodwill in the marketplace, creating real goodwill in the marketplace, being educational for people, and then being that trusted source of information. Whether people do business with you now or later, if they know that you're that trusted source, they're coming back to you for that reason.
Yeah, well, there's no question about it. We talk about the trust factor. Everything that we do is built on providing folks with the kind of information and the kind of guidance, and also, the kind of, listening ear that really pays attention to what's important to them and helps us identify strategic solutions that make sense over the long haul. You've been in the room where we've actually sat with, brand new clients, and I think you would agree that a lot of times they're looking for immediate results, and the truth of the matter is that none of us can make these things happen overnight. So when we're honest and we're upfront, we develop a whole lot more trust with a prospective or a brand new client. We're not going to promise some things that we can't deliver on, and that's part of our brand.
Yeah, and it's an agreement on what success looks like, as a whole.
Yeah, again, we get to that a little bit later on, but absolutely, it's making sure we go through the process of defining, what success looks like, what a good job is going to be, and that's critical. Let's talk a little bit about building fat pipelines, because we've got a very specific process that we go through in terms of building fat pipelines. We want to take contacts and introductions that we have throughout the course of our life and our business life, and we want to actually develop relationships where we connect with folks ultimately. So we can turn contacts into connections, right? We're using social media a ton. LinkedIn has been a tremendous platform for us. If you're on a B2B or in a B2B business and you are not on LinkedIn, then I encourage you right now to make sure you develop a LinkedIn profile. And if you've got a LinkedIn profile and you're not looking at it on a regular basis and working on ways to strengthen that LinkedIn profile with good content, making sure that you're connecting with folks across your industry, even folks that you don't know. If you know who they are and you want to connect to them, then I would strongly recommend not just clicking the connection link, but actually sending a message that lets them know that you're paying attention to who they are and you appreciate where they're coming from. Facebook, Instagram have become a big piece of the business puzzle as well. And I would encourage folks to use every platform that you're comfortable with. I don't say that you have to be on every platform. I am not on Twitter. I don't have time for the argument on Twitter. I was there.
Ditto, Sandy.
Down the rabbit hole. And I said, I'm done. This is a waste of my time. It's a distraction. But we focus a lot on LinkedIn. We focus a lot on Facebook. And we focus a lot on Instagram. And certainly Clubhouse. If you're not on Clubhouse, you don't know what Clubhouse is, I encourage you. As a matter of fact, you can hit us up. I'm going to put my email address back up over here. You can hit me up with a quick email or a text. I'll be happy to shoot you some information on Clubhouse. Or if you have any questions whatsoever, by all means, you can hit me up at sandy@sandycerami.com or ron@sandycerami.com. We're happy to answer them. My telephone number is right on the screen as well as we continue to go here. But we use, we use those social media platforms to develop really fat pipelines because we're taking contacts and we're turning them into connections, real genuine connections with people. And a great example, I see Eric Hall had popped in before on Clubhouse. I had a chance to go down to Dallas, Texas this past week. I spent some time with David Boyle and his team down at Tire Profiles. I want to give them a quick shout out. By the way, if you're looking to sell more tires and more alignments in your shop right now and do it with a piece of equipment that's got a ridiculous return on investment, check out the guys over at Tire Profiles right away. I promise you it'll be worth your time. But I spent some time with David. We went over and said a quick hello to Eric Hall over at Classic Chevrolet. I missed my girl Jennifer Stapleton. She was out doing the mom thing. She was actually doing a little back to school shopping with her daughter. But I will catch her on the next visit. But the point is I knew if I was going to be down anywhere near Grapevine, I wanted to go in and say hi to those guys. And that's what we're talking about here. I want to make sure that you're developing relationships, not with the intent that we're ever going to do business. I don't know that I'll ever do business with Eric or Jennifer or their organization, but I want to develop relationships long haul that help build not only, let's say, friendships along the way, but there's a resource for me. If I've got a question about something, I know I can pick up the phone and I can call an Eric Hall or I can call a Jennifer Stapleton and get an answer from them and take up a couple of minutes of their time without them running the meter. And I want them to know that they can do the same thing with me. And that's what we're talking about here. Connections ultimately become prospects in the future. 100%. David Boyle and I didn't know each other up until last year. And quite honestly, he came to the first business bourbon. By the way, I love you're flying the flag with business bourbon and cigars. I love it. He's got his BB and C.
That's right.
Today. But I met David at our first BB and C event because he was one of our sponsors, and we're doing some work together now. So I mean, the fact that you're creating these connections and then ultimately they become prospects, ultimately they become clients. When you do some work with those folks, they ultimately become advocates, and advocates turn other folks into referrals. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. It's a very specific process that we go through, but I never go into a relationship with any expectation of doing business. I always just know that it's a possibility. I want to be the one whose phone rings when someone's not quite sure who to call or what to do, and they think that I might be able to help. I want my phone to ring, right? You and I talk about that all the time, do we not?
Absolutely, Sandy.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't care what hour of the day, what day of the week. I take the phone call 7 days a week. I encourage folks to do the same thing. If you want to build fat pipelines of prospects and clients and repeat clients, you have to make yourself highly accessible, highly available, and you have to be willing to take the phone calls at any day of the week or at any hour of the day. It really makes no difference.
And Sandy, I think also with the social piece of things, like we've talked about before, if again you're putting out information that's educational or asking for social engagement, asking people to comment, let them give their thoughts, respond to them in a timely fashion, and show that goodwill in the marketplace that you care and you're responsive to people's concerns, questions, whatever it might be. Again, that comes back to being that trusted source of info always.
Well, no doubt. And I'll flip that coin, buddy, and I'll tell you that I've learned probably more than I've shared over the course of the last 10, 12 years.
For sure.
By being actively engaged in the community, all right, the business community. And it's been to my benefit, right? So the folks that I've had the opportunity to connect with have taught me as much, if not more so, than I've been able to offer them. And I think that's a great benefit when if you're in a B2B business. Be willing to listen, be willing to learn from the folks that you call your colleagues and potential or prospective clients as well, because every one of us can learn from each other. I know that's an age-old adage, but it's the truth. The fourth pillar that we talk about here, buddy, is being a resourceful resource, okay? And I say that because I want folks, excuse me, to know that there's a little bit of a hidden meaning there. When I say be a resourceful resource, that means two things. Number one, sometimes we have to really work a little bit harder, work a little bit more creatively to develop strategies, tactics, and techniques. And you've done it with me over the course of the last couple of months where we've been faced with some challenges with a client trying to help them solve a problem. And we didn't have a solution, in the box. We didn't have experience handling some of these challenges that we faced over the last couple months. And that's been the hallmark of my career, is being able to have this incredible network of professionals that we can reach out to and leverage. Sometimes it's not what you know, but it's who you know that can help you develop these strategies, tactics, and techniques to help you deliver value to your clients. So you've got to be resourceful. You've got to be creative out there, and you want to be known as a resource, okay? If they know that you don't have the answer, but you have access to people that do, that's being a resourceful resource, and that's an incredible advantage that you can play in the marketplace, all right? And we strongly recommend that you let folks know that you want to be the one whose phone rings when they're not quite sure who to call or what to do. As a matter of fact, I think I'm gonna have to copyright that tagline. Right?
It's gonna be a little bit of WTSD there, Sandy.
That's right. Hashtag WTSD. Write that shit down, baby. As a matter of fact, write that shit down right now because I want to copyright that for sure.
I got it.
I want to be a resourceful resource. What that ultimately ends up doing is when people know that you can be a trusted, resourceful resource for them, it eliminates resistance. The whole idea is you want to eliminate people's resistance or reluctance to pick up the phone and call you. All right, you want it to be this incredible gravitational pull where they feel like, holy crap, I got to get an answer to this problem, or I got to solve this challenge. I got to pick up the phone and make a phone call to Ron, to Sandy, to whomever it is, to you listening in the audience right now or watching online. You want to be the person that they reach out to when they're not quite sure who to reach out to or what to do. All right, so you want to be a resourceful resource, pillar number 4. Pillar number 5 is interesting because it's something that I have learned. This is a skill that I developed over the course of my entire career. As I say to you all the time, I look in the mirror, I'm looking on screen right now, and I'm saying, who is that dude with the salt and pepper beard and the salt and pepper hair? It's a guy that has spent the last 34 years of his career learning every single step along the way. Some of the lessons hard and some of the lessons easier. But the one really big lesson that I've been able to learn, or the skill that I've been able to develop, is how to convert conversations into client opportunities. Let me say that to you again. I want to learn how to convert conversations into client opportunities. We do that by connecting with people. So I'm going to tell you a quick story about something that happened to me about 5 or 6 years ago. My son's a college baseball player, and so he was playing a club baseball team a few years back, and on a Sunday morning for the first game, he had just joined a club team, had never played with these guys before, had been invited by somebody that he had played with previously on another team. And so the only dad that I knew was the dad of this kid that Patrick had as a teammate previously. So Sunday morning, I get there at 7:30. They've got an 8:30 game, and I've got my extra large cup of Dunkin' Donuts coffee. still rubbing the sleep out of my eyes. And I put my coffee on the back of the stands. And the father that I know comes walking over to me, and we're just having some idle chit chat. We're enjoying a cup of coffee. And a couple of minutes later, another one of the dads comes over. And so Gary, who I knew, introduces me to Mike. And so we just start talking. Over the course of about a half an hour, I find out, what he does for a living. I find out, what company he works for, what his capacity is. And he's asking me about my background. And, it was a media sales organization over here in the greater New York metropolitan area. Very well-known company, Cablevision at the time. It's now been bought out by Altice. But during that conversation, I had said to him, hey, I'm just curious, like, what's the big challenge you guys are having in the marketing and advertising world these days? And he flat out says to me, buddy, the digital people are beating the crap out of us. He says, my people are really struggling with how to respond to digital versus cable TV advertising. And that conversation led to a meeting 2 weeks later, which led to a significant 5-figure contract about 6 weeks later with Cablevision. And so I went from the baseball field in Woodcliff Lake to the regional office in Oakland to their main office in Manhattan. And we put a deal together that made sense. And I worked with that organization for about a year and had some tremendous results. But we were able to take a simple conversation between two dads on a baseball field and turn that into a client opportunity. And a relationship that I enjoy to this day. Mike and I are still good friends. We still talk on a regular basis. That business has gone through some significant challenges and changes. But ultimately, we've got a relationship that will last for decades to come. He's been able to refer me into some other clients as well. So when we're able to convert conversations into connections, they'll turn into client opportunities more often than not.
And Sandy, just to touch on that real quick, I also think it's because you're making the conversation about them by asking them about what their biggest challenges in their industry. It's not about us and what we do. It's about what problems are they facing and how can we help develop a solution.
Absolutely, no question about it. I think about you and I getting together, buddy. How'd that happen in the first place? You think about that. You were actually
it's incredible.
In a workshop that I had done for a client, 4 years and change ago, and you and I connected right away. I stopped you after the workshop was over. I said, buddy, you make sure we connect on LinkedIn and we stay connected and we stay in touch. What was the one thing, my man, that got your attention? You talked about it the other day. You received something from me that got your attention.
Oh man, the handwritten letter, the handwritten note rather that you sent to my house. Yeah. It's just nobody takes the time to do those smaller things, and that's one of those smaller things that just can go light years ahead and really make you stand out from the crowd. And, when you did that, I'm like, I come from an old school mentality background, and that's something that my father would do. I was like, wow, that's just incredible, and we stay connected for that reason. And also because we always made a way to give each other positive reinforcement and feedback over 4 years before we actually ended up connecting and getting together again.
Yeah, well, listen, that's the point is, here's the one thing I'm going to say, folks. If you're going to start connected, then stay connected, okay? That doesn't mean that you're ringing people's phone off the hook to be a pest. What that means is that you reach out and touch somebody in a meaningful way just to check in and say hello, because as I said, it's the relationship that drives the opportunities for you. We're not out here, Ron, I run the Killer Closer workshops all the time. The Killer Closer workshops are not about closing. They're about opening. They're about creating relationships, as you know, and it's a little bit of an oxymoron when we talk about killer closers. What they are actually killer openers, not killer closers. But the point is, if you want to connect with people, you want to convert conversations into real connections, and they create client opportunities for you as well. Let's take a look at pillar number 6, which is develop shared goals and desired outcomes. When we sit down with a prospective client, and we're talking about working together, it's so critically important to understand what the objectives and goals are going to be for that client, to make sure that we share those goals with them. Ultimately, when we talk about things, we have to talk about things from a desired outcome perspective. We have to, again, take them from here to there. The whole objective is to take them from where they are today to where they want to be, and to let them know that we're going to develop solutions along the way. As long as we know what the goals and objectives are, and we both share that they are attainable and achievable, and that the desired outcomes make sense, we can always figure out a way to get there. We can develop strategies, tactics, and techniques that will help us get there. But it's critically important that we establish those shared goals and desired outcomes from the giddy up. And you've seen that happen, firsthand, obviously, over the last few months.
Absolutely. And the one thing that you've done really well, Sandy, that I've watched you do is you also tailor make solutions sometimes, a lot of the time, to people's specific problems and businesses specific problems. And that actually ends up changing, as we've seen in some of our engagements, and then being able to pivot and create another environment for growth with them.
Well, you bring up a great point, buddy. So to that end, we're working with one of the top 10 Honda dealerships in the country right now. Wonderful people, great team. And we had developed a plan that we executed on almost to perfection for the first 5 or 6 months. We made a simple pivot with respect to a production system in the shop. And there was a decision made that was not shared with us. That happens from time to time. It's not an indictment of the client at all. They're in the heat of battle on a regular basis. And so what ended up happening is they made a decision to do something that actually had a counterproductive impact on the change that we had made in the production system. And it took us about 6 weeks to figure out that something wasn't right. Once we figured out what was wrong, we asked questions, found out what was causing it, and we made a significant pivot, as you know, about 60 days ago. And I'm going to say this live on air right now. The most incredible result is that they just had their best parts and service month that they've ever had in the month of July. And we're now at a point now where we're in the last 30 days of the engagement, and we have the trajectory of their business now achieving record levels of profitability. We were able to increase their CSI over 20 points in that period of time. And as you said, sometimes you've got to pivot, you've got to make an adjustment for any reason. And sometimes for no reason at all. When we're just not getting the result that we're looking for, we have to make a pivot. But as long as we start with the shared goals and desired outcomes with the client in advance, and everybody knows what we're shooting for, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to make those adjustments along the way. Pillar number 7, and this is critically important. Pillar number 7 is where a lot of B2B sellers or business development really goes sideways. And that is that you don't provide inherent value, or you don't articulate the value when you structure your agreements with a client. You have to make it easier for clients to move forward. And one of the strong recommendations that we make is provide the client options that make sense for them, okay, and options that are easier for them to move forward with. And so you've seen that over the course of the last couple of months as well. One of the things that we teach, and we're going to talk a little bit about this in a second, we teach in the 4-week course that we do. And this is really a condensed summary of the 4-week course that we teach online. And this is the final week that we go through, is how do we structure agreements that make sense for our clients and for us, that deliver real value and make it easier for clients to say yes to. And that is, in my opinion, this is the money ball. This is the one that we shoot with a red, white, and blue basketball for the final 3-point shot. If we don't get this right, nothing really happens, because you have to put the agreement together so that it is fair and value laden and makes sense for the client. And there's actually an art and science to doing that. And a lot of it has to do with making sure you're listening to what's most important to the client in the first place. Everything that we do, as you know, and this is what I've preached with you since we've gotten together, is everything we do is designed to make sure the client reaps as much value as humanly possible.
Absolutely. And they can feel that you have their best interests at heart and in mind when they are reading that engagement piece.
No question. And the final is that we will review that, if and when possible, live and in person. All right. If we can't, then, as you know, we'll do it, online over a Zoom or over a conference call, but always going over a client agreement line by line so that everybody is clear. And if there's any questions that come out during that process right there, but providing them options that make sense to the client based on the objectives and the goals that you share with them is the money ball, in my opinion. It's what's driven our business for the course of the last 12 years. The long story longer, as you know, is that I came out of the GM bankruptcy proceeding in 2008, 2009 in complete and utter financial disrepair. And so all the lessons that I teach in the workshop were lessons that a lot of times were learned the hard way. They were learned, getting bumped and bruised along the way. The first 2 or 3 years that I was building out my B2B consulting practice was a real learning experience for me because I came out of the B2C world. There are so many overlaps in B2C and B2B, but there are some pitfalls in B2B that you've got to be aware of if you want to be successful. And I spent the first 2 or 3 years of my career having to go through that. And that's the real big value that we deliver in the workshop, in the 4-week course that we're going to talk about in just a second. Hey, Ron, any final thoughts before we talk about that?
Not really, Sandy. I think we've covered a lot just now in the 7 pillars. It's definitely not a deep dive into it, but it's enough of an overview to get the idea of what the necessary things are, to really start connecting, whether you're in B2B or in B2C. It again starts with those tailor-made solutions that you might have to pivot on sometimes, being genuine and authentic in the marketplace and creating goodwill, being a trusted source of information, and being educational when you have the opportunity to do so in your content.
No question about it, buddy. No question about it. So we're excited because we've got a workshop. We've got a 4-week course that we teach that we are going to make available to everybody. As a matter of fact, if you go to 7pillars.now.site, you don't even have to use the promo code. I actually set it up so there's no promo code for Live 75 at this point. We're doing it for 75% off what we normally do the 4-week course for. What you're going to learn in that 4-week course is specifically how to develop your HVD, your high value differentiation statement. We go through building out your brand specifically. You get a 1-hour call where we work on building out your brand with you. We teach you how to build those fat pipelines. There are certain tactics and techniques that we go deeper into in the 4-week course that help folks develop that incredible fat pipeline that continues to flow with client opportunities. We teach you how to become the trusted resource in your business. And that is not to say that we are going to run around as the arrogant, hey, look at me, listen to me, I know everything. A trusted resource, as I said before, somebody that's resourceful and knows how to get the answers or develop strategies, tactics, and techniques that deliver a difference, for their clients. We're going to teach you how to convert conversations into client opportunities the right way. I use the ABC. You remember Glenn Ross with Alec Baldwin?
Yep.
All right. He said, "What coffee is for
closers."
Well, that's all right, because champagne is for openers, baby.
That's it, baby.
I don't worry about the closers, right? What we want to do is we want to open more deals than we close. You follow me? That's how I look at it. I want to open more relationships, which will lead to client opportunities. But we use ABC. You remember what ABC stood for? That was always be closing.
Correct.
Always be closing. Well, I don't really subscribe to that rule of thumb. For me, it's always be curious. I want to always be curious about the other person and find out, what makes them tick. I love people, as you know, and if you want to be successful in B2B, you've got to love people. You've got to love relationships. You've got to love helping others. And I'll tell you, if you have that in your heart, a incredible B2B experience is yours for the having. Okay?
John Bannon just wrote, "Always be caring," which is right on the money. Thank you, John.
For sure. No question about it. No question. My man SJ's chiming in here. He says, "I think selling benefits work. You are sadly mistaken. Benefits sell when the client views them as a benefit to their situation. Can you save them time, effort, and/or money? Your benefits have to have high perceived value. Their opinion is the only opinion that matters." He's absolutely right. You be unique and show up like nobody else. Ashley McCarty, I agree, and handwritten letters work. Ashley, you are so spot on the money, I can't even tell you. I was taught that lesson, by the way, by a 17-year-old kid, 25, 30 years ago. Blew me away. But anyhow, let's talk a little bit about the 4-week opportunity. As I said, you can get more information at the 7pillars.now.site website. Really simple. Just log on. You'll see the information there. It is a 4-week course. It's 75% off. That is for a limited time. We're going to actually do that throughout the course of the weekend. The price will go up on Monday, but for right now, it's at 75% off. Hold on, I got Mr. Michael Poro wants to chime in. Hold on one second. Or maybe he might have hit the button by accident. No worries.
Got it.
Anyhow,
I invited him up if he wants to come up.
What's up there, Mr. Boro? Happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday, Mike.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
I only say because I mean it.
No, I know, bud. And you know what I'm talking about. You and I have had these conversations, and do I have your blessing to share the conversation we had at dinner with Scott and Jamil that time?
Yes, please do.
So this is exactly what we're talking about. So I meet Michael for the first time because he had done Scott's podcast, Move Crush Count, which, by the way, check it out on Spotify. My man Scott Joseph
Do that.
has a tremendous podcast, Move Crush Count.
So much value there.
And by the way, he's shooting the text messages about my age as we talk right now. But so I meet Michael Boro, who is the dealer principal over at Louisville Honda World, the largest dealer in Kentucky, a tremendous team. And I meet him through Scott. We go out to dinner. We meet and we have a couple of dinners over the course of a few months. And about 4 months ago, we go out to dinner and he says, hold on 1 second. I just got to mute you, Michael. You just got to mute your button. He says to Jamil, he says, guys, Jamil, I've been trying to do business with these guys, but neither of them asked me to do business, for God's sakes. I've been waiting for them to ask me to do business. I got to figure out how I can do business with these guys. And I started laughing. I said, Michael, the intention was not to do business with you. The intention was I thought you were an awesome person. I loved the way that you operate, and I actually wanted to, from a very selfish perspective, I wanted to learn from him, like what was his secret to success, and I just enjoyed hanging around with him. And now we're on the precipice of going in and working with his team on developing a even greater, a heightened level of killer culture, which he's already got in his organization. I've met his people, and he has an incredible team. Is that fairly accurate, Michael?
Hey, Sandy, it's not only a matter of when we do business. It's just a matter of when we do business.
That's it, baby.
I want to associate myself around winners. And I'm here to tell you that Sandy Cerami and Scott Josephs are winners. And anybody that isn't doing business with them, guys, I don't mean to insult you as a group, but you're not winners.
I appreciate that, buddy. No, listen, the funny part for me was that conversation that we had over dinner. But anyhow, listen, we're coming up on, let's see here, 4:40. I promised we would be done at 4:45, so I wanted to give everybody the information one more time. Go over to 7pillars.now.site. If you are a B2B seller, even if you're a B2C seller, you'll benefit from this program. It's normally $19.95 for the tuition for the 4-week course. We're doing it at $4.95 right now, which is 75% off. We're going to keep that price until the end of the weekend at midnight on Sunday night. It's going to flip over. It's going to be 25% more expensive. However, this is an opportunity to get in. It is a steal. At $4.95 for 4 weeks, I promise you that the value you receive will far outweigh the investment that you make. And you will have some incredible strategies, tactics, and techniques that will help you explode your business. If you know of anybody that's out there in the marketplace, please point them to 7pillars.now.site and let them know that they can enjoy the benefits of the 75% off as well over the course of the weekend. But in the meantime, my friend, Marvelous Ron Marvo, you got any final words for the audience?
Sandy, I think we covered everything that we need to cover to deliver a tremendous amount of value here today. I truly, honestly believe that. So I'm very happy with how things went, and hopefully, if anybody has any questions, please feel free.
Yeah, no doubt. You can find me at Sandy at sandycerami.com or Ron at sandycerami.com. And I'll say this: let's give a quick shout out for August 23rd. We've got an incredible panel that we're assembling right now. We've invited some of the top performing general managers, dealer principals in the marketplace, including Michael Boro, including David Boyle, including Amberly Joseph, including Bridget Byer, including Brian Kramer and Paul Lynch and Matt Bibbo and Eric Ruby. I mean, just superstars. I'm sure I left somebody out there, and I apologize. We've got an incredible panel. We're going to talk about the next big thing, which is the economic bubble that we're currently in, and what to expect and how they're looking at things from a revenue, expense, and a return on asset perspective. But we're going to give you some incredible information on August 23rd, so keep your eyes peeled. We'll get some more information out into the marketplace shortly. In the meantime, guys, 7pillars.now.site is the website that you can go to so you can actually book a free 15-minute Zoom with myself and Ron, and we'll talk through what expectations you may have. If you have any questions, we're happy to do that. If you want to just go ahead and enroll, you can do that there as well. In the meantime, we're going to step up to stand out, and we're out. Have a killer weekend, everybody. Michael Poro, love you, buddy.
Hey, if anybody's not doing business with Sandy or Scott, they're making a mistake.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, Mike, happy birthday again, man. And everybody have a wonderful weekend.
Scott Joseph, you need to work on your mathematical skills.
All right, guys. Step up and stand out. Yeah, and we're out. Have a good one, guys.